They always told me blood is thicker than water. But the night my own parents made me bleed in front of my 5-year-old son, I learned that some blood can turn ice cold. My name is Nina Adams. I was 25 years old when it happened. And I promise you, this story changed my life forever. I used to believe family was supposed to protect you, love you, stand by you when life falls apart. But that's not what happened to me. Started with one bad year. My boyfriend left me after I got pregnant. He said he wasn't ready to be a father. I cried for nights, but then I gave birth to my beautiful son, Liam. He was my whole world. I worked hard, took care of him on my own. Until one day my company shut down. I lost my job. Just like that. I had no money left. My rent was overdue. My fridge was empty. I had no choice but to go back to my parents' house. I thought they'd understand. I thought they'd give me time to get back on my feet. I was wrong. From the first day I moved back in, my mom looked at me with disgust. "You're back already," she said. "With a child." She called Liam, that boy, like he was a stranger. My dad didn't say much, but he stared at me like I was a mistake. Still, I kept hoping things would get better. Cleaned the house. I cooked. I stayed up late applying for jobs. Liam was always quiet. He stayed close to me, scared to do anything wrong. He could feel they didn't like him. He could feel I wasn't wanted. 2 weeks passed. Then one night it all exploded. It was a cold evening. I had just finished making dinner. Liam was coloring on the floor. I was checking my email for any job replies. Then my mom walked into the room and shouted, "Pay rent or get out." Froze. "What?" asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "You heard me," she snapped. "I'm not running a hotel. If you want to stay here, pay. Or leave." I stood up slowly. "Mom, I'm trying. I'm applying every day. I just need one more week." That's when she got closer. Her voice dropped, but it was sharper than before. "I don't raise freeloaders." Then I heard heavy footsteps. My dad entered the room. He didn't say a word. He just stood there looking angry. "Please," I said. "Liam's right there. Can we talk calmly?" But he didn't care. Suddenly he raised his hand. And before I could move, his palm hit the side of my face so hard, I lost my balance. Fell. My face hit the cold tile floor. I felt something warm trickle from my lip. Touched it. Blood. Then I looked up and saw Liam standing on the stairs. His hands were shaking. His little mouth open in shock. His big brown eyes full of fear. He had seen everything. He had seen his mom get hit. I tried to speak, but no words came out. I just sat there on the floor, holding my face, while my parents stood over me like I was nothing. That was the moment I broke. But it was also the moment I woke up. Something inside me clicked. No more begging. No more hoping. No more waiting for love from people who treated me like trash. I stood up slowly, still bleeding. I went upstairs and packed a small bag. Liam didn't ask any questions. He just followed me. I took 2 bags, 1 blanket, and my son. That's it. No plan. No money. Just a promise in my heart. I'll never let anyone make me feel this small again. We walked into the cold night. No home. No car. Nowhere to go. But I looked at Liam. And I said, "We're gonna be okay. I don't know how yet, but we will." He nodded like he believed me. Like he always did. That night we slept in a bus station. I held him close, wrapped in the blanket. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, my lips still bleeding, my heart on fire. And in my mind I kept saying, "One day, you'll regret the way you treated me." That first night outside was the hardest night of my life. The bus station was cold. People walked past us like we were invisible. Liam slept on my lap. I wrapped the thin blanket around him and held him tight. I couldn't cry. I didn't have the strength. I just kept whispering in my head, "We're not staying here forever. This is just the beginning." By morning I had a plan. Not a great one, but something. I took Liam to a public restroom. I cleaned his face. Wiped his hands. brushed his little teeth with my finger and water. Then I made him smile. If he smiled, I could keep going. We went to a women's shelter later that day. They gave us a small room with a bed and a lamp. No TV. No toys. But it was warm. They gave us food. Liam was happy just to eat warm rice again. I wanted to cry when I saw him eating like it was a gift. At night, I laid beside him and stared at the ceiling again. My whole body ached. But in my heart I felt something new. A small, quiet voice that said, "This is not your ending." The next morning I asked the shelter if they had any job boards. They gave me a list of restaurants and cleaning services looking for help. I circled 5 names and started walking. With Liam on my hip, I knocked on doors. One said no. Another said they weren't hiring anymore. One lady just laughed in my face. But on the 4th try, a cafe owner named Ms. Rosa looked at me and said, "You can clean the tables. But I can't pay you much." I took it without thinking. For 2 weeks I scrubbed floors, cleaned dishes and wiped tables. Sometimes Liam sat in the back with crayons. Sometimes he just watched me work, tired and quiet. I got paid $50 a week. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Ms. Rosa noticed I always stayed late. "You ever use a computer before?" she asked one day. He nodded. "I used to work in an office." She gave me her old phone and said, "Use this on breaks. Maybe try some online gigs." I didn't even know what online gigs meant. But that night, after Liam fell asleep, I searched how to make money online. That's how I found graphic design. I didn't know anything about logos or editing. But I saw people using apps to create flyers and social media posts. I downloaded a free app on that old phone and started practicing. I made pretend posters for fake pizza shops, fake birthday invites, fake business cards. It was fun. Made me feel smart again. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Ms. Rosa. This was my secret weapon. A month later, I made a simple flyer for Ms. Rosa's cafe. She laughed. "You did this." I nodded, nervous. She printed it and stuck it on the window. 3 new customers came in the next day. After that, she told her friend who owned a salon. Then the salon owner told her cousin who sold clothes. Little by little, people started calling me. "Can you make me a flyer? Do you do Instagram posts? How much do you charge?" I had no idea what to say, but I smiled and said, "Yes, I can help." The money was small at first. $10, then 20, then 50. But it felt like I was building something real. I was still cleaning tables during the day, but at night I designed. I watched YouTube videos. Read free blogs. I used that tiny old phone like it was a magic wand. Failed a lot. Clients didn't like some of my work. One even said, "Are you new at this?" I wanted to cry. But then I remembered the slap. Cold floor. Liam's eyes full of fear. I wiped my tears and tried again. One day I got a message from a big company selling organic soaps. "Hey," the message said. "We love your style. Can you design 5 posts and 1 logo?" My hands shook. "Yes," I typed back. "I'd love to." They paid me $200. I had never held that much money in one hand since I gave birth to Liam. I took him out for ice cream that day. He held the cone like it was a treasure. Things started to change fast after that. I bought a second-hand laptop, opened a free website, started posting my designs online. More people reached out. I still worked at the cafe, still lived at the shelter. But now, I had hope, real hope. For the first time in a long time, I could see a different life in front of me. And I swore to myself again. One day they're going to see me. And they'll regret ever making me bleed. Everything changed the day I stopped begging the world to choose me. And decided to choose myself. My little graphic design side hustle began to grow. Quietly, then all at once. I started getting orders every week. One for a church flyer. Another for a small bakery. Then a logo for someone starting a hair brand. I didn't sleep much. By day, I still cleaned floors and wiped down tables. By night, I worked on my laptop until my eyes could barely stay open. Liam would sit beside me, drawing pictures with crayons. "Are you working, Mommy?" he'd ask. "Yes, baby. For us." And he'd smile like that was all he needed to hear. One day, I posted before and after photos of my designs on a new Instagram page. I wrote, "I help small businesses stand out online. DM if you need flyers or logos." By the next morning I had 12 messages. A girl from London. A man in Ghana. Clothing line in Atlanta. That old voice in my head said, "You're not good enough. You didn't go to school for this." But a louder voice said, "Do it anyway." So I did. I saved every penny. Didn't buy new clothes. Didn't eat out. When I had enough money, I moved out of the shelter into a tiny one-room apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it had a lock, a light, and a stove. And best of all, it was ours. I danced with Liam the first night we moved in. "We're home, Mommy," he asked. "We are, baby. Finally." I cried happy tears for the first time in years. My online work grew faster than I expected. People started tagging others on my posts. I got invited to speak at a free Zoom event about starting from nothing. I didn't know what to say, but I told my truth. I said, "I used to be homeless with my son. I learned graphic design from YouTube. Now I run a business that feeds us every day." The chat exploded with comments. "Wow, you're inspiring. You just gave me hope." That night I got over 30 new clients, built a website, started a little course to help other single moms. Called it Design Your Way Out. I didn't have a team at first, just me. But eventually I hired 2 moms I met online who also needed help. One did social media captions. One helped me with edits. We worked like a family, a real one. Not the kind that hurts you. The kind that holds you up. 2 years after I left my parents' house bleeding and broken, I bought my first car. It was used. A little scratched. But mine. I took Liam on a drive to the beach. He played in the sand while I sat and watched the ocean. And in that moment, I felt peace. For the first time in so long, the pain inside me was quiet. One day I got an email. The subject line said, "Are you taking new clients?" I almost ignored it. But I opened it and my heart stopped. It was from a major beauty brand. They had seen my designs online and wanted me to rebrand their entire Instagram. The offer, $2,500. For 1 week of work. I screamed. Liam came running. "What happened?" I picked him up and spun him in the air. "Baby, we did it." After that, everything exploded. Clients came from all over the world. I started turning down work just to rest. I finally stopped cleaning tables. Stopped checking my bank account in fear. We moved into a bigger apartment. Liam had his own room. His own bed. He decorated the walls with superheroes. I bought him a big art set and told him, "You can create anything you want now." I became known as the mom who designed her way out. People asked for interviews, podcasts, features. I kept my head down and just did the work. But in my heart, I never forgot where I started. And I never forgot what they did to me. Then one quiet evening my phone rang. I looked at the screen. My fingers froze. I hadn't spoken to her or my dad since the night they made me bleed. I let the call ring out. Then she texted, "Please, call me. We need help." I waited for hours. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone and called her back. Her voice was softer than I remembered. "Nina, we're sorry. Your dad lost his job. He's not well. We're behind on the mortgage. We could lose the house." My chest didn't burn. My heart didn't break. I just felt still. "What do you want from me?" "Yes," she whispered. "We heard you're doing well now. We were hoping maybe you could help." I told her I'd see what I could do. She didn't know I had already made up my mind. Not out of hate, but out of clarity. Because sometimes people only remember your worth when they lose everything. And this time I would be the one holding the power. Called a lawyer. Called a realtor. I told them I wanted to buy one specific house. The house I once bled in. I didn't want to live there. I just wanted to own it. and make the rules. The house hadn't changed. Same rusted gate. Same cracked walkway. Same front door I used to walk through with my head down. Except now. Owned it. I bought it through a shell company. No one knew I was the buyer. The agent handled everything. All my parents were told was, "A generous buyer has offered to pay off your mortgage. You may live here rent-free for 6 months. After that, you must pay rent or move out." My mother texted me the news. "God is good," she wrote. "Someone is helping us. Can you believe it?" I didn't reply. I just looked at the message and smiled. 6 months passed quickly. Kept working. Kept growing my business. Kept showing Liam what it meant to rise without hate. I didn't tell him what I was planning. I just made sure he had everything he needed. Books, a safe home, a mother who would never let him see violence again. But the day finally came. The 6 months were up. And now, it was my turn to knock on their door. I wore all black. Not because I was mourning, but because power wears quiet colors. Liam was 8 now. Taller. He stood beside me, dressed in a blue hoodie and jeans. He didn't ask where we were going. He just trusted me, like he always had. When we reached the house, I stopped in front of the door and took a long breath. "This is where Mommy used to live," I told him. He looked at it. "It doesn't look very nice." Smiled. "No, it wasn't." Then I knocked. The door opened. My mother stood there. Her face went pale the second she saw me. "Nina." Behind her, my father sat on a couch, coughing into a tissue. The living room looked smaller than I remembered. I stepped forward. Strong. Liam stood right beside me, holding my hand. My mother tried to smile. We were just talking about you," she stammered. "You look grown." I raised a brown envelope. "These are your papers," I said. "The house is no longer yours." She blinked. "What?" "You've stayed rent-free for 6 months. Just like you once told me, remember?" Her face twisted in confusion. "I don't understand." Then I said the words I had waited 3 years to say. "Pay rent, or get out." Her mouth dropped open. My father leaned forward, squinting at me. You were the buyer?" he asked. I nodded once. They looked at each other like they'd seen a ghost. "But we're your parents," my mom whispered. I nodded again. "You are." They waited, hoping I'd soften. I didn't. Because this wasn't about hate. This was about healing. And sometimes, healing means closing the door that hurt you. I turned to Liam and smiled. "Ready to go?" He nodded. My mom stepped forward. "Wait, please." She reached for my arm. I stepped back. The same hand she once pointed at the door, telling me to leave, was now begging to stay. But it was too late. "You taught me to be strong," I said. "You just didn't know it." And with that, I turned and walked away. We got in the car. Liam buckled his seatbelt, then asked, "Mommy, were those the people who hurt you?" I looked at him. "Yes. But not anymore." "Why?" "Because now they can't touch us." I didn't cry. Not that day. Not even later. I had already cried all my tears. I had already broken and rebuilt myself. And now I was free. We drove past the old street. Past the corner store. Past the life I once thought would crush me. And I didn't look back. Because forward was the only direction that mattered now. At home I poured 2 glasses of apple juice. "To new beginnings," I said. Liam raised his glass. "To Mommy being the boss," he added with a laugh. I laughed too. We clinked cups and drank. And just like that, the story that started with a slap ended with a cheers.